The plane crashed. We had company coming over, and they had promised their kids an airplane ride. I just remember that day, it was like unusually hot. And Keith came running down, just busting through the doors, going, "Hey, we're gonna go up in the plane now," and he wanted me to come with him. I said, "Nah, I don't wanna go. You guys go, I'll see you when you get back." And then Keith and I had this really odd conversation. Out of nowhere, "Well, if I don't come back," he said, "raise Rebecca to be a woman of God." And I said, "Well, okay." And so then I started thinking, well, I'm pregnant. So I said, "Well, if you don't come back, if I have a boy, do you want me to name him after you?" Suddenly I had to know that. And he goes, "No, it's fine, you don't need to." And so they just drove off. It wasn't that much longer that I got a phone call from our secretary. And she said, "Melody, the plane went down." And I didn't know what it meant. The plane went down. Does it mean they're just sort of tipped over somewhere? What does that mean? And I just started driving up to the airstrip, and when I got up, I could see that everybody was running across the field because we had a lot of people there then. I got to the site of the crash, and I was just like running through the woods. I didn't know where I was going there, but they were unclear, East Texas woods. And I was standing there realizing that they were just gone. And I remember I walked up to the airplane, and I remember the Lord just stopping me, just saying, "Don't look. What do you want to see? What do you want to remember?" And I just kind of turned and walked away.
The tragedy instantly claimed the lives of 12 people. The entire Smalley family, John, Dee Dee, and their 6 children perished alongside Keith, Josiah, Bethany, and ministry pilot Don Burmeister. Keith was only 28 when he died.
2 of my children died with Keith also. And it's a different loss. Each was devastating, but for me, to lose a husband and then lose children, it was very hard.
Melody and the stunned Last Days community struggled to comprehend the loss.
When I got that phone call, it plunged me into grief.
I remember when Keith had died, and half the people were saying, "Oh, it was the Lord," and half the people were saying, "Oh, the enemy did this." And I said, "You know what? It was an accident."
But even as they grieved, they began to consider how God might turn this tragedy to his glory.
I was afraid suddenly to be single and alone, a single mom. And I heard this phrase drop into my mind, grain of wheat. I got a Bible and found the grain of wheat scripture. And it says, "Unless a grain of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains alone. But if it dies, it bears much fruit." He fell to the ground. He was a grain of wheat, but his life was going to bear much fruit.
People really began to